"You should do a in-depth review of the new baby video," said the actor of the Voyager. "Okay, bet." If we take a look into the description of the DNCU's newest video titled The Baby, they said, "This is the origin story of The Baby. This is the remake of our first movie ever, The Baby Original, made in 2018. So this is just an alternate beginning." Now, since we'll be using this when discussing the connection between The Baby and Voyager, let's pretend the original video doesn't exist for the sake of understanding the lore. The video begins with a few random party guests passing the bouncer into the party. Then it cuts to a nearly 2-minute long introduction to our two main characters, Security Guard and 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝙎. As they arrive at the door, they pay off the bouncer to enter the party. Hours have passed and all the guests have arrived. In total, we have 8 party guests. Now keep that in mind as we continue through the video. As the outgoing party guest greets everyone, we see there's a girl, a man with a fedora, a man in a black hood, the creator of the DNCU, aka Dylan North, the bodyguard, the bouncer who shows up later, and 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝙎. As the outgoing guest goes to the bathroom, we get an interaction between Dylan North, man with the fedora, and the man in the black hood. We learn the character in the black hood is very shy and hides. Keep that in mind.
I bet this kid.
I barely got him this. That was complete.
Yo, be playing.
The baby finally arrived to the party at what we have to assume is somewhere in the middle of the night at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. He walks into the party not saying a word.
They see it as a costume on.
The baby is seen as a random uninvited party guest who decided to show up in a very strange costume. 𝙎𝙊 decides to pick on the random guest, which was a massive mistake. The outgoing guest has been in the bathroom while being distracted with watching a cute prairie dog video.
Oh, the cute prairie dog, look at good old
Man,
prairie dog.
I love prairie dogs. What was that?
The baby has snuck his way into the bathroom with a guest. That's when the baby takes his first victim. The security guard goes to check what the sound was that came from down the hallway in the bathroom. He discovers that one of their guests have been killed. While the guests were distracted with 𝙎𝙊 chugging his drink, the baby sneak attacks the girl and killed her next. When the baby comes back to the main room, the sudden realization hits the guest that the baby is a threat. The guests split up in different rooms to hide in, which was also a horrible mistake. The baby is now able to pick off the guests one by one.
Oh, chic.
𝙎𝙊 and his security guard are the last 2 guests. 𝙎𝙊 threatens his security guard that he'll be fired if he doesn't risk his life trying to fight the baby, which ultimately ends in his death. 𝙎𝙊 makes a run for his car outside the party, then the baby runs up and jumps on his car, making the video come to a "to be continued" screen. Now, if you remember, we had 8 guests. The baby has killed the bouncer, the girl, man in a fedora, the security guard, and the outgoing guest. That leaves us with 3 guests: 𝙎𝙊, Dylan North, and the man in the black hood. Assuming 𝙎𝙊 would be killed next, we're only left with Dylan North and a man in a black hood. Since we see Dylan North in the Voyager series way later, that must mean he most likely left the party early before the baby ever showed up. But now, there's only one question. Where is the man in the black hood? He was never found or killed. Well, the only 2 party guests who didn't die were Dylan North and the man in the black hood. Assuming they left together earlier in the night, the conclusion I've come up with is the man in the black hood is Dylan North's friend, who we see in a video titled The Lab 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝙎. He was killed by the monkey and then turned into the unknown person during the intro of the Voyager Horrors Unleashed. This does make logical sense since we never see Dylan North's friend in any of the video after that. But the bigger question is, why do we see the baby in the Voyager series? Well, the origin story of the baby is he's some random party guest who's out for blood. So after killing the random guests, he goes on to his next victims. This is the last in-depth review I can make on the DNCU since I've now covered all the Voyager lore and story. All we can do is wait until they make another video in the series if they decide to continue the story. Be sure to subscribe as we are so close to hitting 200 subscribers, which also means my full face reveal will happen soon if you guys make that milestone happen. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.